What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. Have you ever witnessed something happen that just doesn't seem real? Like an earth-shattering, life-changing moment? Maybe something personal for you. For many, it's the JFK assassination. There's still people alive today that saw that happen, and it just doesn't. It's like a scene out of a movie. They still can't comprehend it, and in many ways, it wasn't actually real. Certainly wasn't what they told us. For some, it was the Challenger shuttle launch explosion, millions watching live. The shuttle blows up. I mean, it's like, that's horrifying. The Twin Towers collapsing for many. Donald Trump getting shot. Donald Trump getting sworn in as president. From like, whoa, like, how is that even happening? You say, when you witness something like that, and millions of people have those moments, they'll never forget where they were when that stuff happened. I had a moment. I was living in Washington, D.C. I lived there for a long time, and I went jogging, and I couldn't believe it when the entire nation's capital was taken over by the military. And these are scenes they want you to forget, but the reason why this had to happen, with so many National Guard troops standing outside of the Lincoln Memorial here and all around the city, was because Antifa and BLM were so violent. And they were killing people. They were murdering people, defacing statues every single night, burning the city, torching the city. And they want you to forget that this had to happen because they needed to agitate movements, and they needed to activate people to vote against Trump. They needed to create as much chaos as possible with President Trump. And they destroyed the country because of it. Trump rightfully called in the National Guard to be in Washington, D.C., and this restored order. I mean, you don't step to these guys, right? It was really impressive seeing our trained military in action, and no one was going to F around, right? Well, these guys standing guard there. It's why it's been so strange when we hear people who were working at the Pentagon the day of January 6th talk about what President Trump ordered to be guarding the Capitol, because I physically have watched how the National Guard and our American military can lock down a building. Dude, I'm sorry, man. I don't care who you are or what you got. You are not getting close to the Lincoln Memorial today. Why isn't this what the Capitol looked like on January 6th? I would argue that it's what it should have looked like. And guess who else would agree with me? Donald Trump.
I was there in the Oval Office days before January 6th when the president executed his authority to authorize the National Guard. And we've covered that. He cannot order them. He cannot hijack the military and order them deployed domestically. After President Trump's authorization, we immediately sent the Secretary of the Army, who is responsible for the National Guard writ large, to Mayor Bowser and the Capitol Police, controlled by then Speaker Pelosi, because as the governing authorities of the Washington District area, they have to make a National Guard request pursuant to a presidential authorization before the military can go ahead and deploy National Guard troops across anywhere in America.
Kash Patel has told us dozens of times that Donald Trump ordered the National Guard to the Capitol. Why didn't that order get followed? We believe Kash, of course. And we know that this is something that's true because you can see the documentation for it. Well, now we actually know. Now we know. We have the smoking gun that proves in his own hand and in his own writing that there was a conspiracy to defy the sitting president of the United States of America, to break the chain of command, to exhibit what would be a military coup of the United States, because it would take an unelected general and put him in charge of the president and not the other way around. Ladies and gentlemen, what's been revealed in Congress is the most shocking thing I've seen in quite a long time, although not surprising. Congressman Barry Loudermilk says President Trump directed senior DoD leaders to ensure events on January 6th were safe. They ignored his guidance, politicized optics concerns over security, and pushed a flawed narrative in their IG report. The American people deserve the full truth. Here we go. Transcripts show President Trump's directives to Pentagon leadership to keep January 6th safe were deliberately ignored. What is this? Pentagon leadership prioritized concerns over optics over their duties to protect lives, says Chairman Loudermilk. President Trump met with senior Pentagon leaders and directed them to make sure that all the events on January 6th were safe. It's very concerning. These senior Pentagon officials ignored President Trump's guidance and misled congressional leaders to believe that they were doing their job when they were not. The DOD's IG report is fundamentally flawed. It does not draw conclusions from the interviews that they conducted, but pushes a narrative to keep their hands clean. We have many, many questions. Well, what is the narrative here? The narrative is that Mark Milley, you remember this guy, Mark Milley personally heard from President Trump. President Trump say, use the National Guard to guard Congress. Put the National Guard inside and outside the U.S. Capitol building. House, Senate, I want the whole place guarded. So now Congress has definitive proof that Mark Milley was responsible for stopping the National Guard from protecting the U.S. Capitol, therefore ending any chance that there would ever be a January 6th. They either set up, and here's the question. Were they setting it up for optics? Right? Do you really believe the optics lie? Or worse and far more nefarious was all of January 6th a setup? Breaking transcripts reveal President Trump did, in fact, notify top Pentagon officials' desire for National Guard deployment. General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, January 3rd, 2021, 3 days before January 6th. The president says, hey, look at this. This is going to be a large amount of protesters here on January 6th. Let's make sure you have sufficient National Guard soldiers to make sure it's a safe event. President says, hey, I don't care if you use the Guard or soldiers or active duty soldiers, whatever you have to do, just make sure that it's safe, he says. This is from the House Oversight Committee, House Administrative Subcommittee on Oversight. You can see the quotes themselves. So wait a second. This is proof that it was an inside job. This news is, of course, breaking around the world. Trump did, in fact, notify top Pentagon officials his desire for National Guard deployment on January 6th, according to transcripts, and they defied him. They decided that Mark Milley decided that he was going to ignore orders from the president and just do what he wants to do. And what he wants to do then is set up effectively a deep state coup. Because what they were trying to do was damage Donald Trump so that he could never run for president again. And hot damn, they came close. And thousands of Americans rot in jail because of this. Donald Trump bringing this up in the presidential debate.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it, too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
This is the video of Nancy Pelosi saying just that. Bombshell J6 tapes. Nancy Pelosi admits total failure to secure the Capitol. Never let yourself be psyoped by Democrats into the January 6th lie again. We're calling the National Guard now. They should have been here from the start. We have totally failed, says Nancy Pelosi. We have totally failed. Me. Nancy Pelosi's job as Speaker of the House is to secure the Capitol building. Totally failed. Who's the person who didn't follow Trump's orders? Who's the member of the military? This guy right here. Who is the member of the military who Donald Trump tasked with getting National Guard troops there? Mark Milley. And Mark Milley didn't do it. He defied orders. Mark Milley should be court-martialed. He should be sentenced to Guantanamo Bay for the rest of his life. I don't really know how these things work. I'm not sure how military courts work, but this guy should be field stripped of all of these fake medals, and he should face criminal charges for what he did on January 6th. And now we have proof. Now we have the proof. In his own words, Mark Milley saying, the president ordered me to get National Guard troops at the Capitol. It should have looked like this. There should have never been a January 6th. It's completely my fault. And I was part of a deep state plot in order to try and slander, smear, and imprison our fellow Americans out of our seething hatred of Donald Trump. It is a crime against our country. It's a crime against everything this nation stands for. Please, God, let there be justice one of these days. At the very least, the truth is coming out. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, subscribe for more truth.